UST and LG Orange here on Icebox for the first map of this best of 5 series to see who goes on tomorrow. Face Texas A&M Maroon, who of which has beaten both of these teams up to this point. And from the very get-go here in the pistol round, it looks like an A-sided take on the slow prowl in and forward. They'll work their way up from belt, pursuing in through the harbor utility, which is an interesting choice for your agent selection here. Very different for both sides, very different from what you'd see on a map like Shen, where it's going to be the exact same mirror competition. That's why it's really nice to see a map like Icebox step up into the plate. Quick use of the flash there, blind goes forward, not good enough to keep yourself alive though. Papaya gets the first blood off towards Nate, forcing KhazixMayJump to get the refrag back. Knows that plant is going down and can hit the wall bang through to Peppa Pig. And still holds the dominant position from the opposing side of this ice wall. Not placed far enough if you're on the attacking side to cut off those sight lines. You're going to struggle to recollect that spike and get into a solid position. 2v2 in the post plant. Supercast gets their one before falling an elbow from Chowie. Chowie knows where Papaya is, but almost still costs them that pistol round. But it comes down to a clutch up for the 1v1 of the defense. Steps up just solid enough to guarantee they get this going in a 1-0 start. There goes UST, giving us the very first one that they were hoping to ask for right off the rip. And quite honestly, if you're LG Orange, pistol round's not too bad. Your agent selection's indicative of you having a little bit more success in these pistol rounds and these SMG rounds. I apologize. We are trying to play in for more rifle in round 3 after you face the loss here. And defensively, this should be a pretty dominating round to have to deal with. Only 3 sheriffs to have to contend against. They'll work up from belt, same way we saw LG do just in the prior round. Just that slow play up, a little bit slower than we saw for the pistol, as they know they don't have that element of surprise. They can't just rush in towards a site. Just play that slower, more methodical game, and just try to play a little bit more passive. And that's where the SMG rush from Glyph was a little bit more shocking than I necessarily would have expected on that defensive play. You know you have the gun advantage. Play at distance, and Chowie does exactly that. 3 kills here in round 2. Does get felled by a sheriff very quickly after the fact from Supercast. But you've done the dirty work. You've done your due diligence, and KhazixMayJump is just cleaning up right afterwards, leaving just Supercast, who's collected a rifle for themselves. That's fine and all, but the wingman distracts and allows for SayQ to swing in even further to give that 2-0 start. But that's a lot of weapons. To be totally honest with you, that you kind of extended very heavily for in a defending round when you knew you have rifles stepping into it and could have played a lot farther back. Only a Vandal and a Bulldog survived through. And you're heading into round 3 where, do you buy up something to match? Do you feel the pressure to have to meet and match with the rest of your team that have those rifles, or do you just sit back a little bit on your haunches and say round 3 is an expected loss? We're gonna play like that in the first place, and I think they'll go for the latter choice here. 2 sheriffs, a ghost on top, pick up some armor to survive a couple of those rifle shots and really play for information for those 2 players that still have those rifles at the end of the round. Still slow play in. It is Nate working in from tube. It's not working in from tube window, which has been opened up since the rework here on Icebox. Instead, was just playing deep within blue and trying to get that 2 play up going for him. Defensively, they give it up the majority of that A site, which LG Orange have decided to now strike 2 rounds in a row, and it does not seem like they're going to stop anytime soon, as they're all the way up past Nest, ready to extend around pipes and in through elbow. They'll go up towards default more specifically, ready to place that ice wall. Spike is in their hand, and Supercast has a really dominant angle from above to try to keep them at bay as the harbor wall distracts and the sightlines get even more narrow as Chowie has to start firing, blind firing through the toxic screen. Not yet good enough, and a Vandal has been dropped, and they know it. LG Orange have to extend to keep this rifle out of play for Glyph, but couldn't do it fast enough, and they'll manage to grab it. But it may be too little too late. It's a 2v4. 3 players are damaged. The spike is yet to go down until just now from Peppa Pig. And the time constraints will now be forced in the lap of the 1 remaining player of Glyph on UST, as they'll go for their 1v1 onto Kimchi. Good for it. Still 3 players left to contend against. 1 falling back a little bit further, maybe in towards the east side of Nest, and 2 holding just past the initial skylight. They'll drop out of rafters, spotting Supercast off in the distance, but Peppa Pig managing to go up to the high ground. Great shot to clear out the recon bolts. Supercast's shoulder will be spotted, but Glyph couldn't get the secondary swing back into the action, and will feed the beast the deadlock back in to a 3K in this round, and an ultimate already charged for them. Supercast is an absolute menace already, and it's just round 3 coming in for LG Orange. Good news is, especially for an attacking side, you didn't drop that many weapons. And the round win means the rest of the team that did drop a rifle at the end, if the 2 players that did go down can choose to buy up and meet with the rest of the team. Kimchi's going to go a little bit more stringent than the rest. Same thing with Papaya. They opted to go for a Bulldog as they wanted the full armor, and Kimchi said, I prefer the Vandal. I'll take a soft armor here or there if my rifle will get the job done at the end of the day. And maybe they need the assistance. They are bottom of the leaderboard. It is only round 4, though, so you can't dog on it too far. And UST will have to go in for a more default defensive scenario, as we are finally starting to see some pressure come out from LG Orange off towards that B site. And as quick as it starts to turmoil up for them, it reaches its boiling point and falls right back down, with Supercast getting removed just as quickly as they extend out of green. And it gives them that man advantage now, assumedly, as a post plant is more than likely going to go down unless Corsonic stays so far extended out towards Elbow. It's a one-man show. Nobody else actively defending that A site. You're praying that Nate can rotate in swiftly from rafters. That's kind of their tertiary position at this point in time. But LG Orange have the freedom of movement. They don't have to extend to the A side. They rotate back through mid, change up 3 players in through tube, which there is a sight line towards the top of Boiler, but you have to be more concerned about the gunfight going in favor of your KJ and not the other way around. Kimji strikes up to refrag in and get yourself that 4-on-4 split now, heading into a possible post plant. As Papaya tries to get this down, Mateo and Kimji strike each a piece. And it puts you in a 2v4 scenario defensively, where you may actually genuinely have to question whether or not it's worth going for a save. But Nate wants some of the piece of the pie. Nothing that Corsonics could do working from Snowman. They're off of the count. It's whatever, but Nate's still up in Hall, trying to find a kill. The site has been slightly enclosed upon. Orange has a much more tight spacing for visual acuity. And the drop out of the top of Raptors there will not give you anything if you're the player of Nate. And that will tie things up 2-2 when you're looking at another scenario where defensively, are you have anything left to buy up in this round? That won't be the case. It's Sheriffs to your name, and you may as well just stack up one site more heavily than the others. It's LG. You know what they came in with. You know what they're bringing to the table, but you're also not sitting in the best of straights. One player and an outlaw. They had enough to go for more. Supercast apparently wants to go with it. Papaya, though, needs a little bit of assistance. And maybe it could have someone like Mateo buy them a rifle, but I think it'll be Peppa Pig to do it instead. They'll work up from belts. Look at the aggression from UST here. All the way in past Nest, working in this elbow side. 2 rounds prior, they put a player up on ropes to get into the top of Nest, or really just control that top high ground on pipes. But instead of doing so here, where they have to, I would say, deal with that aggression early and try to actually go for those firefights, they're playing a lot more passive via location or via mindset, and more aggressive via location. You can see that play from Nate. You can already see Corsonics as well extending into that space. They want to be able to fight the moment there's action towards belt, or the moment there's a breach in towards that attack response on an A. And there it is. Corsonics first blood. Peppa Pig can't get much going for him. Showy knew that there was a player holding in towards blue. Does fall back as there was some assistance at the top side of Boiler as well. And you're just playing for the long con. You're playing for that long game. The spike will be collected for LG Orange, and they want to commit. They want to head in towards this A site, despite the fact they lost that Sage, that first blood of Peppa, off on this objective. They still are choosing to extend here because it's so much more advantageous to do so. Right up through, clearing the wingman utility, tries to extend a little bit farther, but Papaya will deny Nate's utility play from down below of Rafters. Mateo has control of pipes, and though Spike goes down, this is a lockdown being employed from the KJ on the side of UST. A huge piece of utility, and it detains Supercats. Meaning, if you want to go even further by sending out a Thrash on top, you're burning so much utility and still finding kills. ZQ with 2 in the Sheriff. Rifles too far to be collected, but you got the long con angle. You just don't have the ability to get these frags until you get Corsonics to extend farther into the space. Down goes one. The Outlaw strikes on a ZQ. Corsonics, you have to tap this the remainder. Do they have the damage off on top of it? The pistol can't stick it long enough. And LG Orange will survive against the very close Thrifty of UST, who just barely lose out in round 5.
Over there.
Outlaw, no longer on the board for Supercast. They want to play Operator. They want the boomstick on the attacking side of Icebox. They want to hold full control over both attacking and defending sight lines for the long play. This round, they're opted to go for B long. They're trying to work in from Garage. Have assistance from your Sova not too far behind. That's the right idea. But you're playing for somebody to sit behind yellow, and defensively for UST, there just is no reason to hold that. The Viper is the individual there. If it was your wingman, maybe you have utility you can toss down and kind of initiate for yourself that can send out that utility and activate on its own when a player is spotted and seen in that direction. Otherwise, your Viper has no reason to do so. So there's no reason to extend to that sight line, which means that your Deadlock's operator isn't finding the success or just utility in the first place from that angle, and they know so. Blind fire towards B, nothing in from Orange, nothing come working on green. Rotate away. The rest of the team has at least proven nobody's pressured through Nest. There's nobody on top of pipes, and we know that we're safe in Belt. But can we ensure that on-site safety will be there? Nate, who initially was thought to be inside of Elbow, playing a little bit higher, gets spotted by Kimchi. The Empress was popped, and you will pay the price for using it. But Glyph's at least there for the refrag, but site control is dominated by LG Orange. And to make matters worse, you're barricaded off with movement denial utility in a Viper's pit on top. This round is under control, absolutely, for LG Orange on this attack. And it's going to take more than just a couple pieces of basic utility to get it back for UST. And that's why they've got the Reckoning sent out in towards site. Showy dives in to take down Papaya. The Viper's pit, the most important single piece of utility here for LG Orange, is no longer available. And to make matters worse, your Deadlock finds no success with their ultimate here either. It's a full retake for UST. How much utility, how many ultimates are there, and you still can't find the recovery? UST, what a fabulous defending recovery on that A site. LG Orange just haven't tested enough on B, and they felt that pressure and they pay it. And now you had an ultimate, or an operator, sorry, you purchased the previous round that is making this one near impossible to buy up completely. What is Supercast to do? Well, pray somebody else can buy something for you, and once they spread the credits, then I think they realize they can't pull out everything. They're gonna go Stingers and hope that's enough and even out the eco across the board. With Icebox being back into the map pool as well, this was not an option for them back in fall, the last time these two teams faced in round of 32, I should say. But we did in fact see a victory fall out in favor of LG Orange, 2-1. They played on Bind, Ascent, and Lotus, with LG losing the game on Ascent, which is going to be a big important factor coming up into the next game, possibly so, as that is in the map pool here. They'll have to survive this map first and foremost, and it's not working out so far here defensively in this one. The very scrappy purchase of those Stingers is paying off dividends here. A 2v1, they just go straight for the dirty firefights, and though Spike does go down quite late, you have good control over that spacing, but you can't keep SaQ out of the fight, almost getting the second on top, but couldn't steady their aim in time, and Papaya will clutch up where needed and carry a Phantom on into the next round. And you've even got a Resurrection to bring in as well if you lose that first blood in a somewhat available location to pick that back up. Ice Wall in, maybe you lose a player trying to step out of Garage in through green. That was the issue a couple rounds prior. You bring out Supercast with the operator. You really wanted to control that long angle. If you do so again here, which they're kind of going for the more economically savvy decision of bringing the Outlaw instead, if you're trying to dominate those long angles, I don't know if B is going to be the place to do so. This would be the round to try, because look at the Reyna for the side of UST. They're extending in far. I would say poke over towards A, where Glyph is getting a little bit too big for their britches, and punish them accordingly. Great shot with the Outlaw, and The only person now close is going to be Corsonix, who sees the head of Supercast and almost costs that kill, but is at least good for it. But off screen, another death off towards green on that B approach. And it's just another unfortunate spot for the defenders to be in. Despite the fact they're in a thrifty, they can't be giving up such GG kills. And knowing that, knowing they can't give up these kills, they play a lot more passive. Sit 2 players back in static on the A side. You know, there was some players roaming in. And with the resurrection being employed and 2 players being spotted up inside of Belt, you know you got to get out of dodge. And they'll fall back quickly, now playing to use these pistols in a closer space. Nanoswarm down. Should have been an easy cleanup for Chowie, and it is onto Peppa Pig, but not for the refrag back, which now puts Corsonix in an even worse spot. Kimchi finishing off that spike plant. And just a sheriff to your name, you wait out the utility, bide your time, and pray that Seikyu on this flank finds something, and unfortunately that just isn't the case. It's a consolation kill for Corsonix, and that'll all it will truly be, as the 5th round is collected for LG Orange, and they're starting off in a very solid way, fighting everything they possibly can, and now just 1 round away from guaranteeing an even half of themselves on the attack of Icebox. And it's been a dominating last 6 rounds, I would say. The 1 round recovery, the UST recovery, comes down to just ultimate against ultimates. But every round since then has been a gunfight affair almost entirely. Some utility here and there is really controlling the pace, but it's been a gunfight affair for LG Orange, just outperforming UST, who can't really find the same foothold they're hoping for in the defense, getting caught off with first bloods, not able to get the eco under themselves very well. 2 of those rounds being thrifties doesn't sit well just in general. And you're burning a Viper's Pit, and they just extended past it. That Viper's Pit does not control the totality of the entrance out of green. But it doesn't matter, because off screen, 2 more kills fall your way, and Supercast almost had enough to deal with it, but the Viper's Pit won't matter anyways. Kimchi with the refrag, a 2 versus 3, and it is going to be B-side that wants to be dominated. But your KJ of Kimchi is just way out in no man's land. Corsonix, great cleanup crew kill, and UST will get their 4th. Heading into the next now, we finally see an eco round coming out for LG Orange. I think that'll be the case again. Actually, they don't need to here, because they can eco the next no matter the results. They're gonna go for a disjointed buy. Operator. Okay, never mind. I take it back. Supercast wants to go big. I apologize. I was unfamiliar with your game, Supercast. 3 more rounds left in this half. And the full rifles are out for UST. And they're getting aggressive despite the fact that there's not a thrifty for themselves. The toxic screen tossed out from LG Orange is used off towards the A site. Supercast has that high ground control, but it will not keep Nate away from it. But the operator was ready, priming its boomstick. Glyph knows that there's a player nearby, but Supercast keeps Corsonix out of the affair in general. And you've got that ultimate back in charge for Supercast. If they know that there's a player whatsoever off the opposing side of screen, why would you not opt to utilize it? But they'll be forced to fall back. They know that they had control over the spacing of A. They want to get a defender back into prime positioning. There's only 2. But they want to get somebody in a more static hold, and that's where Chowie is going to go in a more unexpected angle. The back corner up in rafters. Spotting away 1. There's really no chance for Chowie to find a kill there. Weren't collected enough to take Supercast down on the first shot. It was a very well double swing from LG Orange. But he now Seikyu left in the 1v3. Plant will go down. And Supercast has a full hold over here. Sees the shoulder and will easily take down Seikyu to guarantee their 3rd kill of this round. And then one of the most effective headlock plays I've seen here on the map of Icebox in general coming out of this individual. 6-4, 2 more left to go in the half.
Turret out. Over there.
I'll take
Supercast now at 14 kills. 3 more than every other player on the side of UST has. But still sitting in a good enough spot to keep control over this game. And they'll need it. I feel like their lineup may be a little bit more difficult to hold on under the defense. The Sage Ice Wall will greatly help out in the pistol round. and it'll help out in the slow con play, but that's where Wingman steps up anyways. You will basically have that sixth little man on the field to help you get that spike down and keep coverage fire for very easy defaults for the plants, for UST. They lack the ice wall, though, which I feel like would have been a great level of assistance for them, but they make up for that with the Harbor Dome. They'll have to break it down anyways. They won't have sight lines, and Wingman can just sit up on top of that spike and get that down. Lockdown will be employed coming out for the side of LG Orange. Nate will fall back, make sure they're all out of it at this point in time, but UST have that man advantage heading back in towards sight. And the Reckoning is being sent out from the harbor of UST as this thrifty round is getting a bit dicey. Ultimate comes in for Supercast. They'll need to be cleared out of it. Can they do it in time? Glyph will not be broken free, and the shot from Supercast gets even worse for Seikyu. Flick up to Raptors, down goes Nate. Can't get the Corsonics in time, and he almost clutches up to secure the final as well, but Kimchi stays strong, and the 7th round will be guaranteed. And they could very well reach an 8. What an ult. What a great Reckoning to try to give UST the spacing back into it. But they weren't able to close out the final 2 because they they're letting Deadlock, they're letting Supercast take so much darn control. Not enough flashes with the lineup on the defense for UST. That makes sense. They've got wall denial, but the walls aren't tall enough. If you're up on pipe, you've got to have more sightline denial utility, and it just seems noticeably absent on the map of Icebox when verticality is so prevalent on both of these objectives, more noticeably so on this A site. As Supercast strikes first again, and Mateo! A double Hunter's Fury to both Nate and Corsonics. Bury the hatchet, folks. UST already down to only 2 men in the pitch. They'll get a refrag back for Chowie, a second for Chowie as Peppa goes up on the ice wall. Then LG Orange will very likely fall themselves a little bit further back. They're very concerned about the possibility of a replay into this round. Don't give them any comfort. Don't give them any success. The Owl Drone up and around the bend. Seikyu will be unable to extend in towards side for the next 5-6 seconds. Supercast on elbow, an aggressive operator. And they're going to go in even further. They all want this to last. The flick is godlike. And there's the 3rd kill again. 8-4 split, double the stat line of UST. And LG Orange off the back of Supercast with this sniper game. Thrive in the first half on attack.
Listening.
Careful here.
So much of the dominant space being controlled by a single individual on the attacking side for LG Orange. You start to worry about how that transition to the defense will pan out for Supercast. They'll have some assistance. You put a turret down, that's information first and foremost. You can swing up after the fact that class and get some shots out at range. Really hoping for a double headshot dink to try to get a player down at that distance. It's a little bit hard to guarantee that one-shot kill like a Ghost or a Sheriff would have at that range, but you're trying to slow them out and get that information for them extending in through tube or through blue to get into orange. Just the B site hold is what you're opting for when you hold boiler. But the rush comes forward nonetheless from the UST onto the A site, and they open up 2 first bloods to make sure things go right their way. Supercast gets 1 in return, but it's refragged almost instantaneously back by Nate, putting the 2v4 back into effect. And LG Orange really wondering where they go from here. The player stacked up on tube, aka Seikyu, dropping into elbow and falling all the way back. This post plan is nigh impossible, and it'll be a pure gun-up engagement from this point onwards. Kimchi may have the slightest angle to work from. Nate does get dinked in through the wall. Not enough guarantee that kill, and the utility will be tossed out to buy even further time, but it goes poor. This doesn't get the bounce they were expecting. This may give Papaya the best chance possible. 2 kills. They can stick this to half. Seikyu will extend for this. They'll stand up, but Nate just wall bangs them down to make sure there's no chance. And the pistol will fall in favor of UST. A lot like we saw in that first half on their defense. But then the remainder of that half, 2-round wins and letting 8 go the other way. They can't let that happen again. This 2nd round, icing on the cake for the pistol. It's your freebie, it's your bonus. The 3rd round, though, they'll lose it 9 times out of 10. But you can't let that affect the fourth round coming in afterwards when you have a rifle back in your hands as well. Dominate this round, UST, and give your best chance possible for the third. They'll go in for a default, which is something LG Orange didn't do until round 4 or 5 in that first half. They're opting to do so here in their bonus for round 2 of the second half instead. And a wise decision from LG Orange to not give them any sight lines. They know the rifles are going to have a very advantageous distance ability. They don't know necessarily what they have, but assume it's a Vandal, assume it's a Bulldog, and maybe even assume they've got something like a Marshall coming into this round as well. You dominated attacking-wise, LG. With those snipers, you opted for an Outlaw and an Operator instead, more specifically, in Supercast's hands, but you dominated those long fire angles with the attack on those sniper angles. You got to expect maybe that UST would do the same, but they're going to hold in all rifles instead. They want to go a little bit more guns up, try to go for these gunfights. This first real rifle round for them is all based off this play in through garage, up through green, and try to keep them away from yellow. Papaya round the bin, maybe spots a shoulder, does get the information. That's Arena. You know for a fact this is going to be a push in through to the B site now. And the Harbor utility in behind you makes it a near guarantee on top. As Nate goes, you spot me, you won't see me any further. Headshots galore. Papaya goes down. The spike will do the so just the same. UST now, full control of B. So much space being capable of being denied with a toxic screen and a harbor wall for the very beginning of it. It's an impressive assault. These sight lines are near impossible to recover from. And it's going to make it so much more tangible for this B site to be held, unlike with LG Orange, who dominated the A site. Expect the opposite from UST if they continue at this tempo, as they are not allowing a single kill to go the other way till Peppa Pig lets the caster's curse come true. Not just one, but two to make matters worse before refragged back by a toxic snake bite. And Kimchi hitting the wrong target, actually. A wall bang onto Seikyu in the back. No! Chowie! Turn around! Run to Snowman. Hug the man in the corner. It's fine. But that is an extra rifle you really didn't want to have to lose. They already bought 3 weapons against you in the final few moments. More than you definitely would have wanted at that point in time. Honestly, LG Orange, I think, come away with an arguable victory at the end of that, just getting the 3 kills. Take the icing on the cake of the spike detonation, knocking another off the board, and they're going to have 1 weapon to fight you with. 2, 3 weapons, you buy up the 4th and 5th to try to match. 2, you question it. 1, the whole team's not going to have nothing to their name, and they're going to send that player out the gates and pray for something. They'll collect the utility back up and the ult pip down inside of green. And UST will make sure their presence is known here. The toxic screen and the harbor being spotted extending out towards yellow. B site will be taken here again. At least that's what they want to say. As they'll be rushed by Supercast. Why the Outlaw is a shotgun onto Seikyu, I don't know. But it gets you first blood. And Kimchi aggresses onto Chowie. This goes the other way. Come on, Kimchi. Great shot by Chowie, but one that shouldn't be given up for LG Orange. You'll try to take the extended space. You know there's damage going out the other way. You got the Vandal. Play the distance game. They've gotten, what, maybe 1 rifle out of your name. Meaning 2 weapons are available for you. Peppa will line up the ice wall, make sure nobody can take through tubes successfully. Keep them back, keep them safe, and keep them at a good hour.
30 seconds left.
The B site will be re-swung again. But Papaya wants to engage. They get a player in the blind fire through the smoke. It's Glyph at the other end of it. Refragged by Nate. But every kill they gain, it just goes back the other way nigh instantaneously. LG Orange struggling defensively. Especially now as a post plant comes up at long range. Supercast with the Outlaw needs to drop in towards site. Do they know what player is nearby? They have no active information. They'll toss them up over the top. And a recon bolt to make matters worse. They try to shock dart any utility on site, but Corsonics, what's going on here, man? Mateo has the perfect angle to swing back a yellow and even just continues to spray down Chowie after the fact. It's LG Orange with a closer round for round 3 of the second half and pinning it in for the 9th round victory for them. 1 away from double digits. tech pause being made here. Kimchi is seemingly disconnected. Let's talk about Supercast for a second here. Supercast, 22 kills, 11 deaths. And I believe 15 of those kills alone have come at the hands of an outlaw or an operator. And they swing the operator already like it's a dangerous boomstick, which it truly is. That's versus the Evil Dead situation. But you get even worse when you bring out the outlaw on top of it. It's a risky endeavor. 2 shots to try to secure those. But Supercast is doing it so successfully that there's just no questionable point about how you can recover from it. They get first blood in the prior round with a swing out through A main. There's no reason why that elbow in A should ever be allowed to be taken on the defense for LG Orange. UST just didn't fight for that space. You need a player up on belt. You need a player holding that hallway. If you leave no one there on your default, typically a 2-1-2 split or a 3-0-2 split for a default, you're asking for trouble. But they had put 3 players, if not 4 players, out into B, trying to play so aggressively there early, and they didn't find the comfortability, they didn't find the first blood they were wanting. And then that meant they just isolated back their Sage in the back line, which just is a freebie kill for Supercast after the fact. Or not your Sage, I apologize, your KJ of Chowie. It's a freebie kill for Supercast. You've got to be a little bit smarter about that space and that depth control. And they'll need to stick a little bit further back and play this default a little bit smarter. This round will get back started underway. Everybody is back in the lobby. We'll let that timer start to tick here once again. The blue screen of death, the BSOD, the end-all be-all of esports, it seems. As UST now look like this could be a round that could make it or break it for them. We call the double-digit margin for LG Orn the checkpoint or chokehold. Some teams tend to struggle to get the 11th, get the 12th, and try to go even above and beyond. And some people, it's just the beginning. It's the starting line, and the finish is just a couple feet in front of them. The UST have the rifles in this round and the best chance possible to get the job done. As Papaya's got a judge. If you're bringing the judge, where are you sitting at? You're rushing through garage. What is this round for LG Orange? They get first blood. Peppa has no way to do anything past that. They pick up a rifle because of it. Glyph will get the refrag back towards Peppa, but you've got garage control. You've got a toxic screen close by. What a shot from Glyph. The flick to Papaya, but Supercast just around this ice wall. SayQ knows just another chance for Glyph as well, but it won't matter. SayQ can close it out and leaves no one remaining on the defense on that B site as ground control for LG Orange is being accumulated. No man's land is no more as LG Orange take control of attacker's spawn, flank the player in garage, and now leave a question in the air. Are both players there? And SayQ should know that. Run away, get out of dodge, get back to the B site, get a spike down and hold a post plant. You've got the utility to close out that space. And you still didn't like the initial default angle. You're planting here inside of Orange instead as the toxic fumes will go once again and dissipate the toxic screen. You try to go for a Hunter's Fury, but honestly, it was a bit late for Mateo here in this round. There wasn't really much of an impact for that. Recon Bolt will go out back behind Yellow, ensuring nobody is there. They just need to close out that space. SayQ is relocated up inside of Hall. And they'll wait to bide their time from here. 72 HP and a dream. The toxic screen able to be popped back up here as well. Do they hear the footsteps from below? They have to at this point. Spike will be tapped. They know they're up above Mateo. Great angle. Kimchi sitting in the snake bite. Is it dealing any damage? It's not really doing much. They'll hop up for just a moment. Kimchi can't hold it on, and SayQ caught us up big for UST Esports. Great round win. No need to worry about the death afterwards. You just closed out a much-needed round to keep LG Orange even further at bay and stop a big recovery when they just try to get in your face and you prove that they can't keep that up. Wingman out on the A site. Sonic should pick it back up, buddy. It's Glyph, though, for first blood, and UST Esports will start off on the right foot to try to get themselves even closer, etching even closer to a much-needed 8th and the 9th to tie things up with LG Orange. Don't want to give too much free space on the map of Icebox of all maps. And with that first blood, they have freedom of choice to choose any objective they'd like. You'd assume that a player for LG Orange that maybe was sitting up towards maybe mid, towards Boiler, off towards B. Would rotate to help out on that A site, but instead they vacate it. They'll send 2 down Boiler in from Pallet initially, but 2 down Boiler to work in from Tube and keep the sight lines at bay. They earn a thrifty. They're trying to play a lot closer than they necessarily would like. And that's where you're going to see that KJ extend in aggressively. And they know that's a fact. And they want to play them all the way in from blue. Is there a flank watch on the board for UST? Are they aware of that ability? And I think they will have to be, as the Harbor Wall cuts down sightlines and Peppa opens up for the first blood in favor of LG Orange, but it's still too little too late. You just have no ability to keep them out of your range. And LG Orange with just 2. Chowie is aware that Kimchi is here, but not aware enough, as the blood will go that way, and Doug can sit here. What a sneaky way through. Kimchi, a 1v3 is still possible. The Harbor's down to a single tidbit of HP. That can kill them in a crossfire. But Cliff has been so darn good about these wide swings. Every single time we've seen a swing come out from Glyph, it's almost always a headshot to secure. We saw it out through Garage. We see it there once again, swinging in through Green. And we saw a gorgeous one in the first half out of Pipes. UST Esports 1 away from tying us up 9-9, and they'll go into this round with a boomstick facing off against them for Supercast, who maybe says, all right, the rifle's been enough. I'm going back to the glory days. I'm holding down A, and I'm going to do it nearly by my lonesome if I can help it. But I got 2 teammates behind me that can do the same. Supercast will miss their first shot. This is not standard for them. Something must be wrong. But it won't matter too much. Supercast will go back across ropes, looking for the angle of a head. Sees it. Is that enough? It is. Corsonics getting a low taper fade from the operator. Supercast opening up and a reckoning to make space. Use that utility that stops your movement. Use the ultimate as well. It just gets worse, but somehow, someway, UST are coming up successfully with kills. Green play for Kimchi, 30 HP. No healing ability here on the defense of LG Orange. As their Sage went down, Alarm Bot gives you information, and it's Glyph, who's been so darn good around these corners. And the gun barrel will be spotted from Papaya, evening the odds again in a 1v1. But you've got no HP for UST. Your Viper's hiding within a Viper's pit. This is your best odds. Even out the HP pool with this decay. But Papaya knows this space. They can just sit on the other side of this, maybe get that health back. SayQ can wait for the tap to be made. Papaya sitting here. SayQ cannot be spotted. Back behind the Radianite crates. Papaya has to fall. They will not go for this defuse. They'll run out of the sights. And a great round for UST, despite the really good attempt for LG Orange to retake that site and Supercast really holding control of that space. They'd rather save the operator, pick it up, hand it off back towards Supercast. There's a lot of ultimates as well kind of being utilized there, at least more successfully so for UST. The Reckoning alone was a great spot to do so. But Supercast getting that first blood off towards Corsonics, your Gecko on the side of UST. It's a great opener, but it forced everyone back. That Reckoning keeps the space control despite losing that one man, and they just dominate that middle ground, which gives them the eventual control of sites, which then favors them for a post plan. Peppa Pig's been tossed around this map so far like a hacky sack about defending locations. Do you stack them up on A? Do you stack them off towards B? The Sage can go vice versa. But when you go towards B, you typically sit top of Tube, and that's where we saw them lie in the first 4 or 5 rounds of this half. On the defending side, they know that they can at least secure Tube for the time being. But I think they've realized UST really don't like to fight for Orange. They don't like to move in through mid. They don't like working from 2. They don't like working below 2. They'd rather fight for complete control of site first and foremost and come in after the fact. Line goes forward. Supercast needs to be careful. SayQ just gets such control of the space and catches 2 off guard. Now giving them a man advantage until Mateo has something to say about it. That Harbor Wall doesn't get the full curve they were expecting. And it gets even worse with Peppa Pig finding the kill. Both teams have to use their lockdown. And Spike can't go down.
30 seconds left.
They have to
One
fall
enemy
back.
remaining.
Kimchi into space. Lockdown will be secured, and that's a detain.
Wingman's gonna plant spike.
Mateo can't go in farther. It won't matter. Corsonics, it's double digits for UST. And a great secure to keep LG out of the checkpoint or chokehold that we've been waiting on now for 4 rounds in a row, as attack has been everything for both sides on the map of Icebox. Who could have guessed it? About everyone, let's be fair. Uncharacteristic miss once again from Supercast. You expect more. We saw more. Can't say we expect more. We saw so much more in the first half. So seeing Supercast miss is very unfortunate. One player spotted back behind box inside of A main. Supercast wants it, but did not expect Seikyu to have rotated behind the corner side of Nest. They'll put a nice roll down to try to get that resurrection back in return. Will the weapon be there for Supercast? And in fact, will be. Seiki will just have to give up the idea that they get the kill, and they kind of have to deal with the aftermath of that. This A site may be too tough for them to swallow, too big of a pill. I don't think they're too concerned with it. Kimchi will go for the swing and a gorgeous execution onto their doppelganger of Chowie, giving the 2-man advantage to LG Orange, who were tired of being gate-kept here from the 10th round win. They'll have to go for a bit more. Big utility burn out from LG Orange to try to gatekeep UST from sight. Eventually, Nate will get a nice blood. We'll have to try to pivot away from it, but Supercast is there, low HP nonetheless. Nate has to get the kill to Peppa. Can overheal now and even pops the Empress. A 3v2, but Kimchi up in Raptors goes unspotted, and Mr. Nate, aka the Reina, tearing through the competition. Another one off the board, and it's a possible ace scenario for Nate. 5 seconds left in the red. Gets the shot, and Nate knocks down all 5. The spike will go down on top of it. A gorgeous round for UST to recover from. An 11th to keep again LG Orange out of contention on the defense. They can't find an answer for this assault.
There.
Now that you're 2 rounds away from a match point, or 1 round away from a match point, 2 rounds away from being out of this map in the first place for UST, you may have to start thinking about, hey, how aggressive do we truly want to get? This is our map pick. We chose Icebox as the very first map to head into in our map ban. You knocked off Sunset. You didn't want to play it. They followed up with Breeze. Totally fine. And you want an Icebox to come in after the fact, and you are showing that very well. Mateo and Supercast, though, despite the fact that only Sheriffs are in their name, they did get 2 picks with them. Doug, though, aka Corsonics, right after the fact, makes matters worse. And they've got an even poor scenario with LG Orange. Forced now at the wrong end of the barrel, and a match point here for our first map of the day here for the South Division of CVAL. They are struggling in this second half. It is a demonstrably poor execution on these retakes, which is very unfortunate because we've seen really solid ways back into it. But they give up so much space, and they're stuck into this constant every second or third round into a Thrifty. Can't make the answer. Supercast is taking so many hefty cost decisions with this operator and needing a sniper to be effective. It's punishing, it feels like, to LG Orange. The loser's bonus, and it disappears. It disappears. There's not much more you can do. And what a shot from Kimchi. My God, thank you. Did not see that one coming despite leaving the turret out there. A great shot from Supercast, and the 2-player kill start in this round, and spike control there now being forced back with the harbor wall makes it a little bit harder. Gives a great chance for LG Orange to say we're not out of Icebox just yet, but there's so much more map control they've got to prowl up through. And it's not going their way for UST. Player down. Peppa, you get in the call out. Where's the information?
One
Where's the
enemy
vocality for the rest of LG Orange to let Peppa know there's a player inside a pallet? Doesn't matter though. Glyph will eventually be dealt with, punished for their transgressions in through the center of this map. And it leaves just Corsonics, who has to try to make up for the mistakes of the rest of the team. Spike's still left where they assumedly had lost it in the first place. It will be collected, and did they realize Spike's gone? I think Papaya has, but Kimchi's still watching it as if they're gonna rotate back that way. It won't matter. Doug, aka Corsonics, thinks they have safe space, knife in the hand, and there is no sneaking your way out of this one. Map control was clearly there for the 4-player stack of LG Orange still on the board. They'll finally reach double digits, the 10th round win. But despite the win, it should clearly be another solid enough buy for UST with wiggle room on top. Maybe I'll have to save this round, or at least go half buy. JQ could get an ult pip here and then go for a Spectre or a Judge. We know they had done so in the first half defensively. They could have done so here as well. But they want this A side still. Wish I had the exact statistics for how many times this has been hit. It's unbelievable. There's not a notepad long enough for me to write that down. It has been every single round, it feels like, for both sides when it came to their attack. Hunter's Fury will go out here for LG Orange. They want to keep the spike plant away. At best they could do is really get Wingman off of it. That's the great usage of having that Wingman, of having Gecko in the first place.
Spike planted.
Gives you a little bit of extra assistance. Ultimate comes out for the deadlock. Did it catch anyone in it? It did. They'll spray it down as best as they can, but the Viper's pick going down makes matters really precarious now for LG Orange, who are getting chewed apart by Jowie. 3 kills and a secured from Glyph and SayQ. GG no re for our first map on Icebox. UST will start things off 1-0 in our series and secure themselves their map pick win. We'll take our break before we head over to map 2. With Haven gone, a moment of silence for it. That's good enough. With Haven gone, you need to fill that kind of lap of luxury with a new 3 objective map. That's where Lotus has really snuck its way into the hearts and homes of every collegiate player, every collegiate team. Love it or hate it, it already got a slight rework to itself, so it has something working out for it. You know, you extend the entrance of C main, you have a little bit more wider space in mound, you try to make things a bit easier, extending out towards tree and main and on A. Just little things to kind of make those micro adjustments on a small scale for a map that's fairly recent. And you get to make 3 objectives and gives you a much better chance in the attack. Speaking of those objectives, round 1 dominated entirely in towards the A site, which is a rare oddity for a lot of teams. They tend to prefer C, working from mound and squeezing in through C main. But maybe they're quite aware of the utility you would have in a pistol round and don't want to deal with that just yet. It's Sonics with 2 first bloods right back in return, having to get refragged. But a really poor start, despite the fact the spike goes down now. You just don't have the best post-plant positioning. And Sonics, or sorry, Kimchi just... I don't know what Kimchi was opting to do with that shrouded step in back behind, but they were very instantly cleansed afterwards. It's Peppa who saves the day with a classic. Flicks to 1, drops down up, out of heaven, out of top on that A side, and gets the second kill back behind Hut. About as good as you can ask for a pistol round. You get the spike, you get the extra credits for it, and you win it at the end of the round. Now heading you into the second, where you're probably going all Bulldogs or something similar, because this is a pretty long-range engagement, and you know you have a lot of control for the space that you can hold on to. And I think they're going to go for C here. They've got 3 stacked off that way, but play a slower game. Let them come to you, because it is a cheap, very, very cheap, like a bird in Looney Tunes round result coming out here for the defense, as Glyph and everybody else on the team has nothing but classics, and somehow Glyph gets first blood and really wants that sheriff, but won't be allowed the space to get it. And you know you've got space. But with the classic in hand, do you know how much space you truly have for SeQ? SeQ stacked up just behind Trunk, knows that they have the exit out of Link. No real great way to escape behind it. Can spot that one, but classic at that range is not doing too much. Rapaya can just spray and pray you with that Spectre. It's Nate right clicks with the classic. That's a free gun, by the way. Free gun, by the way, in round 2. For the entirety of this defense. And you have somehow stolen the show. UST somehow dropped 4 out of the 5 weapons. And Peppa has to clutch again, not with 10 HP remaining like in round 1, but with 2. An even closer affair. And they brought nothing but classics. Free gun. So fun. Lotus is working out already so well for the attack of LG Orange. And I say that almost sarcastically, as they are struggling the final few moments of this, and it's going to turn into a really tumultuous round 3, where you know for a fact UST can finally sit back further. They can hold that space because they have dominant control over it. And all of that utility that has been noticeably absent in the first and second round is stacked. And that's why you're seeing a full B rush in from LG Orange. They want to take it, and they want to take it now, as Mateo's already putting this plant down. You've got to get these gunfights going your way if you UST, and you get it, finally. Sonics with great assistance coming out from the Viper nearby. First blood their way. Toxic screen goes up to divide space, and a shrouded cover also makes matters worse. 3 players try to extend up into upper. Will not matter. Kimchi will not survive past that. Dark cover will start to dissipate, but a second one's placed instead. Glyph wants to extend into the space. They'll bury 2 in the process. And that's all she wrote for LG Orange in this round. The best they can say is they got credits to their name. No kills past the initial blood on Glyph inside that dark cover. And he allowed them to get 3 before that. A really rough pill to swallow for them, but an expected round result nonetheless.
Turret out.
Here.
Outlaw in play. Is it who we think it is? Won't matter too much for LG Orange here. They get the damage off towards Chowie. No way to bring them back up to full HP. They'll have to sit a little bit further back because that Viper utility is going to be very important for the long con on this C site for UST. You need the snake bite. With the widening, though, of that C main, of C bend in general, that entire elbow, in fact, and the ramp leading up to it, it's a lot harder to have a single piece of utility close off all angles, but you know for a fact you can at least make sure there's damage being dealt on that exit. As the Prowler goes up and around the bend, you try to work from Waterfall because of it. You'll fall back now. Utility comes up over the top. Rushing comes forward. Shrouded step to close in space, but LG Orange can't find the safety net to get through his clip. Sends out a Nightfall and another one back in return. Both teams opting for the Fade ulti here. And it keeps UST at bay, but it wasn't good enough for LG Orange to go unscathed into this execute. You lost a man on the entry. Mateo doesn't even have the safest angle to work from for this plan, as shots can just go through that soft wall and
Poison's off.
just get the damage off just barely. It will get Spike eventually. Supercast with this Outlaw is holding a very dominating angle. The player is trying to exit out of Waterfall. If a boost pack is available, though, you can circumnavigate that decision. That's also why you send out a Prowler. Damage has been dealt to the body clip as well. Down quite low. You'll trade it out for a rifle if it's good enough. Almost lined up too. The Supercast just can't get the job done as the Viper. And a second round back in two for UST to tie things up.
Oh, no, you don't deserve my invention. I can hold an area pretty well myself. Make sure to cover the angles I can't. Placing sentry.
Nate's going to take a dominant position behind Stack inside of Mound. The push is going hard and heavy in towards B. They lose first blood. Nate will switch door. Showstopper as well. Bury the player of Papaya.
Spike planted.
Brooklyn out through the window. Shrouded step went a little bit farther than Nate, I think, anticipated, but it doesn't matter. Chowie behind. And that's going to be all she wrote for this round. Just one remaining, and Supercast has one single play in for main. And it's just a matter of time until Nate can secure it. It is a paint shell to do so, and a fourth kill in that round, but it is just UST Esports on the defense playing in the face of LG Orange and saying, hey, you guys can rush into this B side. You can play very aggressive through main. We're going to meet you right after the fact. There's a door we can switch. We can step through there. We can always rock in through C lobby. We can always rotate from Link. We have so many available options to the B site. That's why it's just as bad, if not worse, than Haven's B site. You gotta be a whole lot smarter about it. And the B site needs to be strayed away from. Too many hits already for LG Orange there in just the first 5 rounds, I would say. Let's take dominant pressure out through A.
There.
Nobody there inside lobby. Maybe giving the chance for your raise for the side of UST to go in on the flank, but it is a turret there. Alarmbot will have the sentry will have a bit of information to work off of. That's why you have that KJ for both sides, as well as the lockdown that dominates so much control over all these objectives in this map. But good dominant control over the top ground on this A site makes this site seem a near impossibility. In LG Orange, it's kind of the worst case scenario to be forced to rotate in from Link, because you've got a player inside B and a second one not far behind inside Pillar that would just deny any chance of you to have control over that area, with rotates being able to be made through upper. It's just too much control over that space. The problem goes further as a showstopper for LG Orange goes high and dry. Lockdown being employed by Corsonics. Great swing there by Glyph, but not enough.
Spike planted.
The refrag goes back in return for Papaya. Both teams will opt to use a lockdown. And the defensive one for UST couldn't keep LG Orange off of that site. It leaves Kimchi in a rough spot. They took through B. They now have control of defender spawn. Whether they go top or stairs, should have an angle onto 1 or 2. Chowie is the player that they're moving in towards, though, as Sonics works their way in below. Nate goes down in the process.
Last player
UST,
standing.
nowhere to go. It's Chowie down finally by Kimchi as it's just 4 Sonics remaining. Odin does nothing for Supercast. Prowler will be cleared. Shrouded step to get out of there. Can't get the kill. Won't matter anyways. Time was never on your side. As LG Orange will take their 3rd round win, finally finding something into their favor once the actual rifle rounds go their way. Something they had also struggled on the attack for Icebox past the first 4 rounds of that half.
Time out. Bring them down.
Prowler out and out through A main. You're gonna go ahead and switch tree door. You want to try to make use of it. That's why the toxic screen's placed there as well. There's not a whole lot of space really to work from past this point. You start that off inside of B, which is a very solid place to do so. It holds down the B main arch. It denies entry from there. It holds off the execute out from Root and Rubble in the first place through door or into main. And you can put a player inside Link to hold control over it. They don't opt to do so, and that does give LG Orange control of Link. That's where their Omen's currently lying in wait. But it's denied tree, which is where the first blood has now gone in favor for UST. And it's just a matter of falling back. Nate doesn't need to dominate that position. They just need to play a passive approach. Get that first blood and take a couple further steps back. A jumping bended toxic Viper's pit goes down. Just to make sure he rolls around that edge. Supercast with the judge. Now the jury and the executioner all in one to give the man advantage back in their way. Something they have not had at all in this round. It'll be a 4 versus 3 in a post-plant scenario with UST having nearly every player being forced to step into either a toxic screen or a Viper's pit. It can be a very dangerous way to go about it as Papaya. Maybe not aware that a player is just mere inches away from them. Will we see an execute? I don't think so. They're going to play for an exit frag instead. No, they'll step in, shall we? They want the heat. For Sonic gets themselves one more, but Mateo and Kimchi, who are dominating that tree control, something they struggled to gain in the first place with Nate's initial hold. Once they gain it, it's theirs for the taking, and they'll gain a 4th round because of it.
Turn out. I want to see you crawl. Oh! Poison orb emitting.
3 Strazies for the rifle that was in play. Chowie will collect the Guardian past that point. Vandal is in hand for Peppa, who does zone Chowie back and away. With the toxic snake bite that's placed down, can't keep Supercast at bay from the main side of C main. A very effective approach in towards the C side. If you can net first blood on C, cut down so much potential utility there, it's really darn difficult for a defending team to retake that objective. And you have to play a whole lot smarter than you necessarily would think. And Glyphis just needs to make a mountain out of a molehill. Try to get something working out for them. They can start things off strong, maybe build a sandcastle up, but it is made of sand. And even if you can get the initial bucket of wet sand to try to piece something up, the bully comes in and the bully's LG Orange to kick it right down after the fact. They'll get another round now in a row, finally finding and piecing really well-strung attacking rounds. 3 in a row just to match the 3 we saw from UST, who take that 3rd round as expected and use that as a barreling point forward to keep momentum their way. Finally back for the Orange.
Let's choke them. Don't get in my way. Bring them down.
Viper's Pit put in 3.
Face your fear!
We saw used only once on the B side of Icebox last map, and I believe it was by UST, so seeing them do so again maybe lead me to believe that they are really liking the idea of keeping the bait because of it. But unfortunately, you'll be forced out of it. It will dissipate, but you get a great execution onto LG's Raze, who just tries to overextend into that space, and you get punished very quickly. And now the big question is, where do you go? 4v5. You didn't get C. You still have to fight off in that direction, and you just have to pray that your one-man army of Kimchi, who is just taking that solo prowl, can find success there and bait away some players in that direction. But now that they've seen 2 players out towards Mountain, they know it's going to be a C-sided push, and Kimchi is going to have to take a step in through Link.
30 seconds
just trying to have some tertiary angle for success. But this is a beautiful, beautiful execution, beautiful hold for Chowie on this C-side. Despite the damage being dealt on the 11 HP, they forced LG Orange away from C and off towards the B site, which is most definitely not the objective of choice they wanted to go to. They didn't want to see this go this way. They didn't want to have to play this round out on the B side. Every time we've seen it, their post-plant positioning is poor. Your entire defense here in this post-plant comes off of having to win a 1. You can't rely on a 50-50 shot like that to give yourself the justice needed to close out a victory. Thankfully, Kimchi gets the big kill, takes down Nade, and now secures a good foothold from Link, which allows for the rest of the pre-fire and spray from everywhere else inside of B main to go effectively in LG's way. And who else but Chowie, who was also the first player to get damaged in this round and somehow survive it, to be the only one remaining for UST Esports, as LG Orange will now at least break even at halftime, reaching the 6-point mark.
Turn out. Bot coming back. Turn out.
Actually, this may be more like a thrifty form, because there is a Bulldog in hand for Seikyu, and it does net them a first blood. But I'm more impressed with the fact that Nate has guaranteed to frag past that with the paint shells. Give the man advantage even further for UST, who are struggling. And this is space that LG Orange can't give up. They can't just fall back away from here. The weapons that they've dropped there are something that if you give up to UST, they'll just take that space 2-fold or 10-fold even in a post-plant scenario. So they feel like they have to stay on this A side. They have to continue to progress here. And that's why you're still seeing Spike just outside of that A door. That's why Kimchi's also playing so darn aggressive on top stairs. They're going to try to take control of defender spawn. This is another one, though, that if you give up and Kimchi manages to go down and gets isolated, that's a rifle that gets collected, and 2-fold or 10-fold, whatever it may turn out to be, if it gets returned, you're asking for a very poor spot to be in.
Placing swarm grenade.
Send out the swarm bot.
30 seconds left.
Where Sonics knows that they need to continue to burn out utility, but they can't really do too much past it. Marshall has great damage to the chest, but they have armor, nothing too big to be concerned with, and it's another round where they don't really get a plant on the site that they were necessarily anticipating. LG Orange to go from here. It's Kimchi with the first blood in this post plant. They'll go down very swiftly afterwards from the sheriff shot from Nate, putting this in a 3v1, and Supercats gets refragged instantly. Nate almost didn't get that off, but fires it just before the Odin headshot to give a round win for UST.
Don't stress if I die. It was great knowing you all. Also, delete my hard drive.
With a timeout, or tactical timeout, not a tech timeout, with a tactical timeout being called here, be a good enough time for LG Orange to say, hey, UST feel like they need it. They have 2 more rounds left to try to get something, but we can we can work things back in our way. We can try to get things curry more favor in our direction. Kimchi's done so darn well, which is kind of shocking. A lot of the times you see Omens do pretty darn well in the attack for a map like Lotus. But the defense is where they struggle, which is another reason why we see Seikyu bottom fragging, bottom of the team for the side of UST. But it's still done very well. Paranoia, controlled over those areas. Knows that they can step up when the time comes straight. At that halftime switch. But LG Orange, I gotta get kills. I don't know what the Odin buy is continuously coming out for Supercast. It feels like they just need something to bring a barrage of rounds out to burn out and try to get some wall bangs. They sent that off initially in this round off inside of A lobby, just sending things off towards root. Falling back now, turret place not inside of lobby like we saw early in this half. When we were playing for that A side in the first place. No, this one's placed in pillars. The opening of pillars, and this will spot one player there, giving them all the information they need, but Chowie goes unpunished initially. How was that space control going over to UST when it should have been an LG Orange instantaneous denial? Lockdown goes forward, flushing the players of LG Orange out and into Mound, where 3 players were lying in wait. This is one of the most perfect defensive executions you can ask for UST. The lockdown employing was perfectly in your favor. Glyph swinging into a Viper's Pit and catching Mateo and Supercast off guard. Near perfection from UST to get their 5th.
Push a button, save the day.
And things are just so tangible. Chowie, no reason should be allowed a 1v1 engagement in the backup bin. Being given that in the first place for UST was the beginning of a cake being built. Flushing them out, having Corsonic say, hey, we don't want you in that site, even if you get that plant down. You've either got to sit in the backup end where we will burn you with utility, or you've got to go out and into Mound, where we've got 3 players in the flank because you didn't set up enough flank watch or left a player there to go for it. Your post plant was too statically inside of C site. You're going to get punished for it. It's just a great way to hold on to that objective and get that repost plant and back in your favor. They've got to do it one more time, and they use so much of their utility, so much of those ultimates to do so. You have to wonder if they have the ability to deny them here. Shows up, comes down for LG Orange. Chowie in the back corner cannot be allowed to continue to do this. 2 kills for Chowie. Coming on for the 3rd. See, Orange has found no answer. It's the last round of this first half, and they can't keep the Viper out of C. And you know where they are every single round we've seen it. They go to B, they set up the toxic screen, and they static themselves in C main. And somehow LG Orange are giving up another round early as Papaya's left in a 1v4. Astronomical odds against the spike out in the open, and only a Bulldog. It's what you expect. The 6-6 stat line and a half as UST recover.
Switching sides.
Second half will get underway. He got an even 6-6 split. It's a really good spot, honestly, for UST to recover from. But LG Orange defensively have also got themselves a pretty good foothold. Kimchi plays hyper-aggressive. Peppa Pig had a great flick for the Classic to just knock off a bit of too hyper-aggressive of a player here for UST. And now they've got to think twice about where they're heading in from. They'll leave one player back inside lobby. A bit wishy-washy. They're not too sure about how they want to play for this one. And they'll extend in towards B, where there's a lot of utility. There's an alarm bot placed just around this corner. Are they aware of it? I'm not too sure, but they clear it away. And Glyph managing to take down one. May just give UST the chance that they can continue to play this poking and prodding game. Howie may be a bit overextended. The dark cover will dissipate. They'll have to throw up the toxic screen. They want to extend out of this, but there's a whole lot of noise being made behind. Not really helping your case here, Chowie. You're going to need assistance and fast. But the crossfire comes in too darn well for Kimchi. But Glyph, their third kill of this round, the solo king right now for UST in this pistol.
30
As you
seconds
pray,
left.
Doug's made enough
One
space,
enemy
and it's
remaining.
straight to the back of the head of Mateo. UST with a huge recovery despite the somewhat lackluster start of this round with the 2K going against them. Will get spiked down in a man
Spike
advantage
planted.
against a KJ. Papaya, only a classic in their
There.
hand as well against a sheriff and a ghost.
Last
The
player
right
standing.
king. It won't need the right click to secure Glyph. With the refrag and a pistol round, it doesn't matter if they die. It just gotta
Look
finish
at
it up
us,
with the
but
player
are
count
they
still up,
us?
and USD do
So
so.
many
It's now
questions.
go up 7-6.
Cover going out.
Seikyu will hold in the long fire. It's an eco round here for the defense of LG Orange. They know that. Kind of a weird split anyways. They got the raise as well for UST, who's also sitting a little bit further back in the eco, apparently with a sheriff. You're playing such a slow start to the attack. And LG Orange are forced to question every single choice they've made. And when you've stacked 4 up, arguably 5, as the B site can be adjusted upon very quickly in through Lincoln Waterfall to get to see. When you've arguably stacked 5 onto a site, no noise whatsoever. Should have already been a cue for LG Orange that they needed to have made to rotate over to the A side. But that lack of noise is also maybe
30
just the
seconds
undoing
left.
if you're of UST. Supercast has a ton of audio. Trying to go for something. Right click does tag the shoulder of Glyph, but a little bit too far off the margin and knocked the head off the peg. Massive paint shell might I add there from Nate, but is that a thing?
Spike down. One
Collab with the
enemy.
sheriff? LG Orange, Nate, what is going on? There's some rounds you look at and you're at a loss of words from one little minute thing. You can guess how that round was going to go down anyway to the eco and the slow prowl up through A. But I'm honestly impressed that UST still opted to hit the B site instead.
I am everywhere.
But the damage you get from a single paint shell, I think is the best part of it.
Toxin screen down.
You hit 3. All of them down about 15 HP, and you still give up 2 from one man with a colat. UST make a lot of noise out through B main, but there is an angle being held from A link that does deny the initial entrance in through B. So they know for a fact that they're not going to this B side just yet. With the confirmation of the final blood straight
your
out of the
fear!
gates of A. LG Orange now know this A side is not long for their defense. As UST with that man advantage, the Nightfall is well used, have so much space control. The paranoia from Kenji, near perfect in execution, catches 3 players
Spike
off the short
planted.
side.
Toxin screen down.
Gives Supercast the safe space they need to secure big kills. 2 from that angle alone as
One
Papaya
enemy
capping off yet
remaining.
another one. They know players down below, straight off of top, and there it is. Supercast a 3K in this round. Papaya 2, a buddy ace, a full house of cards, whatever you want to call it, man. LG Orange aren't out of this one just yet, and they'll get their 7th. In a really swift
Bomb
recovery in a
grenade out.
post plant. Still 23 seconds they had to work with before having to defuse that spike.
Turret out.
Seiki will sit static. UST opting to put majority of their players off to C now. The crazy thing is, look at the space control off towards Bubble. Look at your Viper. They have control of all of A. You've left Spike behind, so you don't have to commit to spike this first blood off towards Mound. And Chowie's even gotten your pick of the litter, knocking another player off the board into A site. You can hit either C or A, and C, majority of the time, is going to have all of the utility stacked up. You know you knocked the KJ off the board, but you still have the unknown factor of where's that Fade utility going to come from? The raised big shells, if we try to go in through a very tight breach, A site's way more open. We're less likely to fold under that destructive utility than we would be on that C or B side. So a quick rotate into A, nets them a spike plant, and I'm not too shocked with the result here from LG Orange, who just say, yeah, you know what? Kudos to them. This round's a loss. We'll chalk it up to allowing 2 first bloods when we should not have done so. UST will get their 9th, and you just got to do better. I think a lot of that's going to come off of playing a lot more smarter. It's taking a full minute of downtime, it feels like, for the attack of UST to actually start to employ into space. Set attacker spawn, bide their time. They'll send 1 or 2 feelers out. And by feelers, I mean whole agents. 1 or 2 whole agents into space. And they just play for those first bloods. If you let a team do that, you let a team backpack off of that momentum for these first bloods, the result's going to go pretty unquestionably in their favor. And that's the exact opposite of what LG Orange want here, because this is their map pick. I get it's only round 4, and you know, these are the first few times we're seeing rifle buys anyways, and kind of disjointed in the first place, but you got to be a little bit more aggressive if you're going to have to go in 1v1s in the first place, or even 2v1s if you're swinging into the C now. You got to play more passive on C and more aggressive on A. And we're seeing that here. Full utility attack on C. Nobody playing in the face at the Archer's side, and 3 players stacking outside of route. This is that aggressiveness on A, and this is that passivity on C that I was just alluding to. This is where UST can counter it just again by playing as passive as they usually have been. A much more methodical approach on the attack than what we saw LG Orange do. And it's paying off so far. 1 for 1 in these rifle rounds.
There.
Paint still will clear the utility, but not enough of it as the Nano Swarms will bury the HP of Nate. Only needing a Spectre to get 2 in the process. Papaya also punishes Seikyu just after the fact. UST on this breach into C have given up Spike. Look at the Spike. It's all the way out in bin. And Papaya's got control of that area for at least the time being.
1 enemy
Now he
remaining.
gets the kill. You've only now left with 1. Kimchi's just all in your face. The aggressiveness, the ruthlessness. LG Orange, a really good recovery in this round off of the fact that UST thought they had more control of the space than they did. You swing the rays into that back corner. Bin is so darn wide now. You don't know if they're sitting behind the stack. You don't know if they're sitting in the very corner of bin, and you're having to turn your crosshair so much. The trigger discipline isn't there. Crosshair placement isn't there. And the ability to click that head isn't there. And it's giving so much to the defense on both sides. It was Chowie for USD dominating that space. And we're already seeing it come through now for LG Orange, who are kind of in dire need of that in the first place. Oh. You don't want to really allow Peppa first blood. This is something you really didn't want to give up for UST.
Placing swarm grenade.
Three rounds ago, we saw Papaya go down first and foremost right outside C Arches. They've wisened up. Know that their utility is about the only thing that statics that C site, really locks it down for themselves. So they need to maintain the life. They need to make sure that it can still be inactive. They can still pop the nanoswarm, still let the turret actually do something. Let the alarm bot go off and trigger. Don't. It was the whole point of your presence on that C site in the first place. Showstopper comes out, no grenade. It will not get the first blood. And in fact, it goes opposite as Peppa gets them instead for their doppelganger kill. A showstopper of their own. Door needs to be flipped. Rocket fuse, not going to matter. They can't even fire it off in time. Peppa tried there at the final moment, but unfortunately just could not extend it. They'll lose two teammates in the process. A really rough spot to do. Chowie and Seiki get killed. Chowie will put down this spike. And from the shadows, it's hard-pressed to find many uses for this ultimate in any map of VALORANT. In this game, it gets gets your secondary player into the site where necessary, but it doesn't keep control of this stuff. The Viper's Pit does nothing. LG Orange had so much
10
destructive
seconds
utility
left.
still in their pocket. Great use of the Prowler, paint shells on top of this pack.
Last
They can just
player
bide their time
standing.
with it, and the spike goes down, and that's going to be all she wrote.
C.
SayQ can't collect this. LG Orange will find a 9th round. And so much ability to zone and warden off that B site was the same problem LG Orange ran into on their attacks, and they're able to employ it back in return. Anything you can do, we can do just as well, if not better, it seems. Timeout called as well for UST. They're the only team I think to actually have called a timeout here on both maps. I may be wrong. It may have been LG Orange, but I think there was only attack timeout in the first map. Either way, doesn't really matter at the end of the day. They need it here. They're starting to see a pattern. They're starting to see some weaknesses in their armor that is their attack. Chainmail, yes, can stop some wounds, but it still hurts if you get hit with a sword. Would you rather get hit while wearing chainmail or get hit without it? And they're just a little bit too slow. They may just need to strip the armor and get a little bit more out the gate and be ready for it. And I think the lack of success we're seeing from SayQ on this Omen as the player that's trying to follow up behind Nate, like we saw 3 rounds ago towards C, the lack of that is really hurting UST. The paranoias have been really good. We saw that on the defense for UST. It was a really great hold. Kimchi's also been spectacular with that, but Kimchi's been killing as well. But SayQ needs a little bit more impact behind Nate. And we need to see Nate hit that last showstopper in that last round. Would have changed the game for them. But it won't matter here as we'll head into the next. Tied up now, 9-9. UST, though ahead a map, are being gate kept away from a very possible 2-0 lead and taking LG Orange on their own. They're in the map of Lotus.
Toxin screen down. Toxins going up. Toxin screen down.
Shall we walk up through stairs? Mateo already struggling in this series, and it's just being made even worse. 4 kills to their name, and add another death on top of it. Map control has been a huge thing right now for UST with these slow prowls. But Kimchi, who had still not been cleared away, door hadn't been switched, and not being able to be cleared out of trees is a really bad spot to be in. To make matters worse, they didn't remove all players that were extended up towards stairs. Chowie is still there, and Chowie makes sure their presence is no shrouded step almost in time for Kimchi. But they get their 2-for-1 special they were hoping for.
30 seconds left.
But it wasn't early
Spike
enough.
planted.
The early special is not here. Cannot save a few extra credits on top. It's a 2v3 now post-plant scenario for UST, who doesn't have a whole lot of utility, and Papaya says this is doable. I'm popping the lockdown, baby. I'm going to hold down this staircase. I'm going to flush you out of this site because I know that I can get some damage off
player
here. But
standing.
that's the pig! Can't keep themselves collected enough. Now has to be held in, and Nate's on the walk. Straight to the head of Papaya. That is an ultimate you are desperately going to be sore about missing. And Peppa almost entirely has to feel like they are one of the reasons why that happens. The second frag would have been guaranteed going the other way anyways, but that should have gone down to a 1v2 towards the end, if anything, to help slow down that lockdown play, or at least you should have sat back towards Link. Positioning is key right now for LG Orange. That's where we're seeing the biggest weaknesses from them. That's why we saw early lost rounds in this first half from them, round 4 going into the second half, right? Seeing the overextension out towards C now, and trying to place the utility first, and just getting caught out in the process. Positioning is key. Here's that solo play from UST again. They know they can play as calm and collected as they need to. Peppa hasn't opened up Link.
Face your fear!
No reason to do so yet. And here comes the Nightfall. You will be tagged by this, Mateo. It's just a matter of time now for you to know exactly where you left. That Prowler following suit. LG off the board. It's a really hard pill to swallow, but Peppa does get a nice kill back, but
Where are you?
second eludes them as Chowie. An all-you-can-eat buffet inside of Link. Not just a 1-for-1 special,
There.
a 2-for-nil
Last
special.
player
As they are
standing.
still alive and thriving with Seikyu finally putting their name back into contention, leaving Mateo in a 1v4, and they'll say, okay, I've not been doing so hot anyways. This map isn't mine. GG go next, maybe, for me. But at least I can hold on to my rifle and maybe play some sick beats as I rotate back on over towards Sea Hall and just kind of sit static from here because they know they don't need to really chase me down here.
Idea, again. Their fear is a track, and the track is fresh.
Toxins going up.
With UST now at 11,
Toxin screen down.
LG Orange, they could be looking at a 2-0 start into a series that they desperately want to come into and get revenge for against Texas A&M Maroon, who is the mythological titan at the end of this rainbow. They dominated UST, they dominated LG Orange. I think the crazier statistic is the fact that even though LG Orange stepped into this series, having made it farther in the winner bracket, you got dropped out of the winner bracket almost instantaneously, UST. To be fair, you did have to face Tamu immediately, which you get 2-0'd fairly easily by them. But then you had a clean streak straight through. You only lost 3 total maps. LG Orange, though, lost 4. They've lost more maps at the end of this. Despite the fact they made it farther into the bracket or the winner's bracket. A lot of that mostly because they lost 3 out of Tamu, but you know, again, they'll get a good second kill here in this round. Nate trying to re-aggress into a scenario where they're completely paranoid, short-sighted. It's nothing they can see nor do. The defense is starting to find another big problem. They can't escape out towards Link. You are barreling out of the literal best basic definition of a fatal funnel in the game of Valorant. 4 players out of the same exact hole. One of them at least gets to the elbow of Sice, but it's just, it's too brutal to watch that engagement go down that way because UST know exactly where you're going to be coming from. 12th now. Match points on our second map. This one, the choice, the go-to choice, the first choice. They want this one first if you LG on Lotus. And they've got their work cut out for them as a Bulldog and a Spectre are in play and not even full armor for 3 out of the 5 of the players on their team. And they're trying to go right in the face early outside of main on A site. Despite that, there's no first blood here. In fact, the one who's taking the most damage is your Viper on the side of UST. Prowler for Mateo just biding their time, still checking that there is in fact more than one player here. The shots that are being sung out at least tell you so. The Haunt making sure that information is there on top of it for LG Orange. And damage finally going back the other way on as well.
Here.
It's just a game of noise. Spray down for UST. They refuse to give up A main control. They want to take it, but leaving a player inside B main means they have the luxury, the freedom of space to say, hey, we can sing into B. We know LG Orange like to fatally throw in through that link side, and they know there are at least 2 people that direction. They've left one there back behind on top of it. Dark cover, though, will make it a little bit harder to play the Rubble. More cheeky with it. Pyre and Super Cats each get a kill on site. Kimchi goes down. Not the best thing for LG Orange, but they have that man advantage. Super Cats looks dead into it. Doug, though, aka Sonic and Showy, ripped through another, and it's just Peppa Pig Lunchbox. They'll need to pack themselves up into a new round, possibly, or a new map, should this go in the favor of UST in this post-plant scenario, as time is quickly running out. Headshot has to hit Corsonics. Does so instead. 30 HP. Don't even need the head. Hits the torso when the job is done. A 3K to secure the 13th round, not allowing double digits. Lotus is GG no Ray. 2-0 start for UST. As we now take another break here, folks. Before we head into the third map, what a series this is going on. LG Orange need to pick it up for the third, so they got to get ready for a tough map ahead of them. We'll see you guys after this break.
Placing alarm bot. Turret out. Placing swarm grenade.
After a rough map
Placing
1 and
swamp
an
grenade.
even rougher map 2 on their map pick, UST are now forced. I won't say forced. UST are now back on a map they truly do like. And LG Orange are forced to elevate their game to an elevated city in the sky that is Ascent. The last time these two teams faced back in CVAL Fall, or CVAL, this was the one map that UST were able to take off of LG Orange at the time, 13-9. In a map that UST are actually quite comfortable on. So allowing them to select this, it's totally normal for that to happen in a best of 5. But letting this go forward after losing a second
Spike
is
down,
the worst
B.
case scenario for them. 2 first bloods coming in pretty positively here for UST. LG Orange have not really found much to
Spike
their name. They
planted.
did take down the KO for the side of UST, but that's not too much for you. Mateo, now the only carry remaining in this round, is trying to work in from B main, and not really many chances left to do so. Kimchi, a single right click to take down 2 players in the same fell swoop here, but Mateo with the Sheriff gets the long shot over towards Chowie instead. Safety hiding within the dark cover, jumping over the top. Kimchi still somehow managing to get that kill,
Last player standing.
but not enough to secure it. And
Team
UST
eight.
still in the positive straits with Corsonics and Nate closing out the final 2. Everyone getting a piece of the proverbial pie for UST as the pistol round goes their way. The death toll has been rung for the first round, and the second will have to match in suits. UST will play a little bit farther back, knowing they've got the advantage in guns, advantage in range. But that's why LG Orange are sitting at the literal gates of every single opening they possibly can. The only one that's not standing in a gate is your KJ, who's sitting a lot farther back, who has that turret that can really just get the extra information that they need. They just need to make sure nobody's brewing up towards bottom mid. Make sure no one's swung past their players inside Puppy. Kimchi, despite all of that attempt to stand their ground there, can't really get too much going for them, and they will happen to lose their life and give that A side now under full control. The side of UST, as Corsonic was just a pixel away from getting it down and maybe hopped off a bit too soon, as a 4 versus 5 post-plant scenario ensues in favor of UST. As they've got rifles, they've got guns, they've got control, and no flank being even attempted from LG Orange. The Sova that could have been there on the long play through,
Taken out.
aka Supercast, who is very important for
Revealing
LG
area.
at this point in
Last
time.
player standing.
Decided not to do so and decided to step up through Puppy and Tree, and will pay the price because of it, only getting 1 in the process. A 2-0 start for UST, and only dropping 2 weapons in the second round is actually a pretty darn good way to go about it. Is I would maybe anticipate a big solid rush in through B this round. As long as they can hear the Odin go off first, they'll know that B may be a bit too impossible, and then they'll stack up on A instead. So they're going to go for a default here, maybe have some players up towards top mid instead.
Right here.
Great aggressive angle by Peppa. Out to the A arch, and catching Nate off guard as well. This quick rush into the A site that I was kind of delaying doesn't really pay off for them. Thank you, who only a Sheriff
Placing
gets 1. That should not be the player that's getting that opening pick in favor for UST. The weapons they had in tow. Chowie, though, was still in there and in the action. Knocks down Kimchi and with a great shot to Super Kess. It's a 2v2. site is theoretically available for control. The issue is a play rep inside Raptors and the live pings being made. Showy is aware of that.
Last player
They'll have to
standing.
switch down door. Mateo,
Spike down
who had a
A.
weak second map.
I got the spike.
He's got a good start to this one here, knocking
They
down their
seem-
doppelganger.
Oh.
Showy gets caught off guard, throwing the util. And a great round for LG Orange, though losing 3 rifles. They dominate it just the same, but deny a spike plant, which gives them at least some leeway that there's not a few extra credits in UST's pocket.
Turret out. Placing swarm grenade.
Supercast is back up on this B site. Where you initially thought it would be holding up for him in the last round, but then they opted to stack up over on the A site instead. Play a little bit smarter. Great aggression from LG Orange. This is... I don't feel like this is the best way to go about it for you. You know that that's an Omen that's trapped over there inside Tubby, so you have to the matter. Kimchi gets there one, takes out Nate, but before Sonic's after the fact. Peppa, in this deep side static of defense, gets caught off guard by Cliff, who did a lot of great pressure in towards the site, having CQ lock down the actual backside of Jin. As UST can get this spike down fairly quickly, default will be where it goes. The shock dart goes and taps the KO ever so slightly, but there is no denying that plant. The dark cover goes up to the top of Raptors, and this is an ultimate use by UST, who already have control over the objective. The null command. A solid superseded control over the points, and you're just pinning it even further home. And the owl drone will be dipped away because of the second dip on top of your 0 command. Your 0 point, I apologize. As a third round for UST goes forward, and LG Orange now, you're gonna have to go for a bit of a thrifty decision. You still need an LNG, at least Supercast thought so for a moment. They want to hold down this B site. But honestly, UST have been so predominantly stacked towards that A side, it's hard-pressed to imagine them needing to head towards B. But if they opt to do so, I can only envision it comes through courtyard and in through bottom mid through market.
Time for a
That's where we see so much control already being readied as they stack those 3 players at the top mid.
Last player standing.
This round's divulged quite instantaneously, to be fair, for UST. I think the most shocking part is there's not a single death in an area that already hasn't been explored yet from LG Orange. 4
Spike
deaths all in
planted.
4 different areas. Archway of A, inside tree, walkway peak, and then on the B side execute. They're all over the place. And now with only 1 player remaining, where does Supercast go? You collect the Vandal, the 1 weapon was dropped by the KJ. You've got to be a little bit more smart about this decision. Do you go for a kill, or do you try to play a little bit farther back? Supercast in through Garden. Can play for an exit frag here around this bend. There goes Nate. Down they go. Supercast gets an exit. The door's being broken. Gets a second CQ down. And an attempt to spray transfer the KO as well, but it will not matter for Sonics to secure 4-1 UST, who have started off so darn good. And once again, their map pick here in a possible last map for a 3rd round, or a 3rd map to close the series out 3-0. LG Orange has Supercast trying to go for the jump peak. Been so absent for a B-sided pressure for UST. They have to assume it would come at one point or another, but the jump peek is noticeably absent right as we see an execute in through market. Your Jet's already in towards site. Nate has full control over the area. Switch can be pulled. There it finally does go. Hunter of Fury, though, can buy them some time. Keep them at bay. But not enough and no damage truly to save forward, except for onto 2 that really didn't need that tick against them in the first place. And the one player you had trapped in the back of sight goes no further. 4v5 then, post plant scenario with UST further burying their point home, driving the success. It's Chowie onto Peppa. Doug with a recon bolt primed and raiding over the top. Kimchi tries to work on Raptor. Knows where the recall goat was going from. Chowie let him get through, but doesn't matter. The refract there is exactly what you're asking for. Chowie eventually gets failed by the Odin of Superkess. But Superkess loses their only teammate of Mateo and will wisely fall back. The Odin can't be purchased every single round. Try to save it for another, as it looks like the next round very well may be yet another thrifty for the majority of the team for LG Orange, and making it so it could be a 6-1 split for UST already.
Revealing area.
Recon balled over to the default on the B side. Top of the
Scanning
tree.
ahead.
Someone back and return to the cast now. The Odin is still intel. Not a lot of damage necessarily out there, and Nate in that phase. So much more. 2 kills to Nate the back.
One enemy remaining.
Dissecting the defense of LG Orange, are already heading into
Spike
this one with
planted.
literally nothing to their name, bar that Odin that was there. You expect the result, but a clean, precise taps to secure 3 kills total in that round for Nate. And UST, like I said, they were just a good deterrent away from a 6-1 split, and it's going to come in fell swoop. LG Orange are looking like a shadow of themselves right now for a team that did exceptionally well in the first half to get a lead in the first map. The exact same thing, allowing a comeback in map 2, and now doesn't even get the chance. They can't go positive at halftime like they've been doing the last 2 maps. They have to be meeting in a negative stat point. And an operator for Peppa Pig, give it a Superkess. This is the one player you've seen every single time dominate with the boomstick.
Shadows traveling.
Just don't understand it completely.
Shutting them
The
down.
0 point for Mateo was placed in default. They give 3 information for the 3 players, the 3 agents working their way in through A main. And knowing that the Sova was there as well will lead you to believe that more likely than not, that Spike is in fact still off towards A, but now that 20 seconds have passed since then, they may assume that that Spike will start to rotate elsewhere, but there has been a noticeable absence of noise on that B site since the beginning toss of util by your KO. And LG Orange are just back to having to play a normal default. There's a guessing game. There's a kind of a ploy you have to play into. And USD Esports are really hoping that this 5-stack in through A main will pay out. I think a lot of this payout's going to come from the player inside wine that they've kind of ditched here, aka Nate. A dark cover the wrong way. Kimchi won't get this kill, and Nate now mixed in for free in towards sight, using their tailwind, and now 2 cloudbursts are getting deeper into the objective.
Right
This
here.
plant will not be capable of going down in default, but Supercast
Spike
can still get a
planted.
plethora of damage out with this Odin, where it has been a big absence of that damage past this point. We'll have to go above and beyond that. The no command is ready for UST. They used it a couple rounds prior to this exact same scenario. Will they do so here? With Nate's death, it would be more hard-pressed to find a better time to do so. You kept that Nate further back. They're not on site. They want the gas margin.
One
Nate
enemy
does it
remaining.
alone with 2 until Supercast thrives with 4. All on site, and the Odin comes clean to give LG Orange their 2nd round win in a post-plant scenario on the A side, and a hopeful continuation of that success to give them some momentum.
Stay taut as a bowstring. The fight demands it. Right here.
On the
Get out
back
of my
of
way.
success for Supercast, LG Orange will need to use that as a driving point for momentum in the first place. They'll have to go a little bit further beyond. UST will go for an interesting attacking round. Two players stacked up right outside arches. They've left Spike at top mid. Gonna try to get some player and pressures off in courtyard in the first place from top of walkway. Two players will be spotted off the use of the 0 point. And Nate is coming in with a Blade Storm to save a little bit of eco on top. Sees and feels the pressure from Peppa off the back of that operator. I think clipping their leg in the process with it.
Powerless.
That'll force them back and further away. Peppa still static in towards bottom mid. We'll need to rotate in towards A. As the Spike is in, as the 0 point goes forward. The ult,
Spike down
dangerous
A.
to go through. How has Jowie and Doug secured those 2 kills off towards Garden?
Spike
This would have been a
planted.
really good spot
You
for
should
UST
run.
to
Last
recover from the
player
first place, but
standing.
because even more possible, no way to collect the KO. But Doug makes this a very manageable 2v1 as Papaya, the only one remaining, has to swing, wants to go for the lockdown and gets static discharged afterwards. 7-2 are split. It gets worse for
on my
LG
info.
Orange.
Don't
As a
give them
positive
time.
half is impossible, let alone even half now with that win. UST are in solid cahoots for this first half. There are 4 ultimates also available for LG Orange. They have so many chances to press that X key and flush away UST in the first place. But they feel like the lockdown is just going to get countered almost instantly from this Hunter's Fear, which I think is why we're seeing UST opt to save it so much. It's a perfect counter, perfect bait. And it only gets worse when you consider the fact that they weren't even using the lockdown in the last round because, or they weren't countering the lockdown in the last round with that Hunter's Fury because for some reason you're having a problem keeping a super cast alive because they need to get the face of that open. It's just the wrong style. As Peppa wins a gunfight against the rifle with just a pistol. And the Hunter's Fury comes out, not in regards to the lockdown. They need quickly after the fact. The gunfight barely goes in favor of UST as Mateo and Peppa are super in the face. It won't matter. 2v3 now, post-plant scenario. Supercast once again, the only one with a real weapon now, the Odin. Gonna pop the Hunter's Fury here. And Cortana didn't hit a single hit of that.
Take flight.
Aldrone up above, recon bolt on site.
One
Back
enemy
down the player
remaining.
that gives Chowie exactly what they needed. Paranoia around the bend. Chowie gets out of it.
Found them.
Still the short side, but the information is there. Kimchi, where did they pivot off to with that shrouded step? Is it inside B main or off
Cover
towards
going
the
out.
side of stairs and towards market? They won't know. That gunshot gets all the information they'll need. They'll double swing as Chowie secures for the kill. 8-2. 2 more rounds left. You could go 10-2 at halftime if you're UST. And an 11th is almost guaranteed if we see LG Orange have such a disjointed buy here again. This loser's bonus is not stacking up fast enough, it seems, as they're so sporadic in the victories. It's going to be a really rough round again. The Blade Storm last round didn't find them anything either.
Targets destroyed.
Great connecting for Peppa Pig, but it will not keep Nano Swarm nor Nate, nor the Hug Stars from Corsonic from finding impact
One
back in
enemy
return.
remaining.
Corsonic's now second one, doesn't need a utility to do it, just this time all by their lonesome with a rifle. Yowl Drone opening up for the information, and that's all she wrote. One more round left in this half, and a absolutely
Last round in the
stunning
half.
first half for UST. 9-2. 1 left to go. And LG Orange aren't even in a perfect buy here either. No armor for a Vandal, a Guardian, a Spectre.
Let's go.
LG Orange have to play a nearly perfect second half at this rate. We have a phrase with me and my standard duo usually states 3 is the minimum. It's what you need to work with on nearly every map. A sit even more so, it feels like. Look how close this map 9 times out of 10 is, if not 99 times out of 100 is. And LG Orange are very well not going to meet that at this rate with UST in the first 2 bloods and having a lockdown hold on Mateo already. As one player guaranteed position known, a refrag there onto Peppa. You know where Papaya is, they're inside markets. And there's only one way to rotate for Mateo. Just maintain this man advantage, continue to play in this spot, place down the utility, have the Owl Drone, gather the intel.
Last player standing.
Success after success for UST. 10-2 halftime scoreline. They're
Switching
that
sides.
pick of a cent, and it's a cent for goodness sake. The standard of all standards. Wasn't even the longest lasting map in Valorant, but the one everyone knows.
Placing sentry.
And we're seeing LG Orange be dominated on it. If UST are allowed to get this pistol round, in some odd way, as a 5-stack looks boring for LG Orange to the A side, if they're allowed for UST to get this pistol, they have to buy it for LG Orange. Or you're forced to go completely flawless, as they'll get the first and more likely than not get the second. They'd already be at match point and series point for a best of 5. And they get first and second. Almost third on top. Swing it as well, why don't you see you? They'll fall back though. The recon bolt keeps them information. You don't want to have to deal with that for a wild trays. It gets the Paya 2. It's a 4v2 now. LG Orange may have spiked down, but you're in a near impossible scenario again. You've got a flanking player coming all the way back from Arch's side. You can't rotate that.
Player
Your
standing.
post-plant scenario is an impossible scenario. As 2 players will drop in from rafters, a shot dart forces through the corner. Dog, aka Corsonics, has you flushed out, and ZQ. 3 alone in the round. A buddy ace between in tandem between you and Nate. Secure UST at 11th and an expected 12th. As you have to buy here, you feel you must if you're LG Orange. And what do you do for it? The biggest question of this series.
Double check, can I get this? Thanks.
You have to. And if you're UST, don't go half in on this buy. Put some rifles in your hands. You know they're just going to go up with SMGs. Stinger's probably more likely than not, just considering the price here. They know what you're going to have. They need armor. They can't go Spectre and soft. They need to go Stinger and full or soft, whatever they can get. It's no longer a guessing game. What will occur? What will occur? And UST start off poor despite that. As Kimchi at range takes down Glyph. CQ gets a nice frag there with a Bulldog of their own. Nate has a lot of a crossfire to deal with 2 of their own on top of it. And UST maintain the man advantage now. With only the 2 remaining players on the side of LG Orange. Damage in return. Of course, Sonics frags down Supercast, and it's just the 1 KO of Mateo. Left alone in the 1v2. Hot flash at the ready. Sends it up to the top of Raptors. Can't see nothing. Damage from Tree. Of course, Sonics gets the shock dart damage on top. They'll both drop from Raptors. They'll both take the damage. And it's match and series point UST.
Match point.
A 12-2 split. A 10-2 split at half. And UST are telling everyone here in the collegiate Val scene that LG Orange's victory against them in fall here in C-Val meant absolutely nothing to them. Their loss early against Tamu was a pure, unlucky roll of the dice for the splits heading into this.
Spike down.
You all
Mid.
will meet your maker at the end.
One
They
enemy
come
remaining.
up big and it's already over. One more man remaining. Super Cats. Down they go as
Defenders
UST
win.
take a ridiculous 13-2. A map of assists and secure a 3-0 series scoreline. You can't ask for a better ending. You can't ask for a more dominant performance from a team against LG Orange, who are already so darn good. It's perfection incarnate. And a ridiculously well-deserved victory from UST Esports, who will now move on to face Texas A&M Maroon tomorrow for their grand finals here for CVAL South. Don't go anywhere for it. Tomorrow we'll be back with more action, but that's it for us today. They're already guaranteed a piece of their prize pool, and they're very happy to do so. We'll see you back for tomorrow.